So Zeta finally decided to address that old dirty bitch in the room. Age, guys. We're going to be talking about age in a society that says once you hit the big 3-0, you are going downhill from there as women. So where do we fit into that, guys? If you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, and going above, okay? Like, what does that look like? How are we feeling? So if you want to be a part of the conversation and the family, make sure you click that button. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you are not already a part of the bigger ZC Nation family and you want all that good Zimmy content, if you want to know all things Zeta, and if you just want to be nosy, head over to zetaconfidential.com. Make sure you are subscribed, guys, okay? Because it's Read the Blog 2023, and it looks like our girl is very serious about that. But let's talk about this age. Oh, guys, so I absolutely love that she talked about it because it's such a needed topic as we talk about where our society stands. Now, let's understand, first of all, that societal standards as it comes to women and aging has always been an issue. But now, even more than ever, in a time of social media where we've gone from more just public figures and celebrities, and obviously it always trickles down to us mere mortals in some way, but now it's even bigger push. It's an even bigger push because now we're constantly being judged and looking for validation in some ways. Not everybody, but in some ways, the judgment's coming if you put it out there. And so there is this need for many, for perfectionism. Now, for myself, I'm going to give them a little secret. I am 33. And for me, I have felt free, thank goodness, for years. I get freer and freer as we go along. First of all, because I'm so grateful to God to be alive. So you will know it's only uphill from here. Okay. Every year, every time I wake up every day, a day older, a day more grateful. Okay. But in saying that, it's just a freedom that I've gotten every year because I care less and less, because I have the knowledge and wisdom, as we talked about last week, to know sometimes when to step away when something becomes unhealthy. Social media can be wonderful in so many ways. It connects people. It unites you. Find yourself learning so much about different things, different people, different topics. But you can also find yourself in a whirlwind of comparisons, even when you don't mean to, on the simplest things, from looking at other moms. Maybe you feel like you're not doing enough, other wives, friends. Oh, do I go out enough? Am I self-caring enough? Is my self-care good enough? Whatever. But certainly when it comes to women and certain ages, why don't I look like that? Or when we don't know if it's a filter, if it's a whatever, whatever it may be, but just letting it go and being okay with self, because that's where it's always going to come to. You can lift this, tighten this, toot this out, and it will never be enough. And that's why I have found my freedom, and I'm okay, and I'm good. Like, so as 30 approached, I was good. When 31 came, 32, Jesus year came, we're still good, because it starts internally with self. And something that I really love that Zeta did this week when she talks about turning 30 is setting goals for yourself. And I think that is so important, because you have that thing to look forward to that goes well beyond what they think sometimes a woman can do, as far as, because a lot of times when we talk about ageism and we talk about hitting the big 30, we're going downhill because we're not fertile anymore, or we don't have as many eggs, or our skin's starting to change, or this and that. And it's just like, oh my goodness, you must not know about me in my Beyonce voice. Like, I have so much more to offer than just that. And what's important, not for people to know that, but for you to know it, you to know and understand it. Now, I don't know how some people, I wish I'm not the guru of ageism or age. I can only tell you for myself, a lot of my missteps is kind of what really taught me how to be okay with aging, because I guess I've always been like a black sheep. And so that kind of opened the door for me to be okay with kind of always going against the grain. But as it would be, y'all already know it's story time, but slightly. But when I was in high school, I was teased horribly. I was not black enough. That's a whole, again, y'all always know I got a story within a story. That's a whole nother story in itself, and it's gonna come. But yeah, I was not black enough. Like, and so I was teased horribly. And it got to the point, which is so crazy because ironically enough, my senior year, I think people finally start to let up, but I was so traumatized that I was just like, you know what? F this. And so I actually left my senior year. I left my senior year second semester. And I was an honor student, so it wasn't even like I was an honor student. I had my course, had all these things, left and decided, you know, I was going to go and get my GED. Actually, I just left. Honestly, I had no plan. It was really stupid. For as smart as I was, I was really doing something stupid based on an emotion at that time. But see, this is where we talk about age and getting a little bit wiser. But I went, as it went on, I went and I got my GED. Now, when you get your GED, there's such a stigma sometimes that comes along with it. Now, internally, sometimes you're thinking that people may think you're less than and that. And, you know, you just have all these thoughts in your head. But what I decided was that I wasn't going to let that define me, because I was still the same person who graduated and took these tests to get these honor cords, which I proudly took to my GED ceremony. And I said, you know, this is my way and that's okay. And that opened the door for me to be like, okay, look, I can still do whatever I want to, and it doesn't have to be this way. And so I just started setting my goals for myself. So as I start looking up stuff, I start like, oh my God, well, 96% of colleges still accept it. So even though maybe it wasn't, and I'm not saying it was the best decision, but it wasn't necessarily the worst decision, because a lot of things happened in my life in between then that made where I am now possible. So I'm so grateful. So I went through that and I was like, okay, well, I can still go to college. And so I went to college, and I was able to also, even before then, in between, I was able to get a corporate job, and I was able to move up in corporate and do well. And actually, I wound up meeting my husband, but I was able to be successful again, not on what somebody's path would necessarily look like when they say, well, what does the path to success look like? Well, you have to be a this student, you have to be a this, or so same thing like with age, like you can be whatever you want to be, and age 30 can look like 20. But and I say all that to say is it's okay for 30 to look like 30, because I also think that's a way to get caught up in stuff. So like the GED is good as the GED because it still got me to the point that I wanted to get to. And so just understanding that. But a lot of it always comes, again, as we talk about setting goals, knowing when to step back and knowing when to step in and move forward. It never stopped anything. I went on, I had success. I set a goal at 22 to buy a house. I did that, and I just kept pushing. And it was still, again, not based on what societal standards said that it should be, because society says you drop out of school, you get your GED. Girl, you need to be at McDonald's or Burger King, which there's nothing wrong with that, because there can be success in that too, because I know somebody who owns several McDonald's now who started off working there. So again, you know, success can look so many different ways. It is up to us to decide and to create the narrative that we want it to be. And so with age, like when you sit down and you write out, this is the plan, sticking to that plan and finding people, like-minded people around you who can support you, who see the vision and who sees it's not the end, and that we as women have so much to offer one another. There's so much to learn from one another. And I think it's also so important, not just whether it be friendships, whether it be just in conversation, kind of how we do now, like with here, we have all people from walks of life. I think it's so important to have different generations around so you can all learn from one another. And it doesn't have to be anything that deep, just even touching base with healthy family members, whichever. But to be able to kind of just tap into one another and show each other that we are all living. We may be in different stages, and that is okay, because it's some people who will be in the same stage who are in different age ranges, and that's okay. There's some moms who are at 20 something having their first baby. There's some moms who are in their late 40s having their first baby. But we all have all these different experiences that make us who we are. And there is no timeline. And the same way there is no timeline for all these things, you do not have to accept society's timeline for what society says this should be happening or that should be happening. And I encourage you just to feel good. Do something to feel good for yourself. I know something Zeta talked about last week was fasting. And I think sometimes that is so good as a reset, just to clear your mind and kind of sometimes get that confidence. Even if it's, I mean, it can be whatever. Like, y'all see me today like this, and you will see a lot of like this for me because I'm comfortable. I'm a tomboy. But you might also get booed up, lipstick, you know, like whatever, boudoir me, because I also believe that sometimes it's okay to let go and just kind of be in yourself wherever you find that confidence. Make sure that you set some time aside for yourself to feel good about yourself. And I think sometimes there's this notion that it has to be this grandiose thing, and it really doesn't. You can get your little camera phone, whatever it may be. Like if it's fixing yourself a meal, do something that makes you feel good about yourself a couple of times a week. And as you're doing that, set aside time to set up goals for yourself. Where do I want to be? What does that look like? And you have some big goals, you have some smaller goals, but make sure you are taking the steps to attain the goals that you want to reach. And to also, if you don't, like, let's say the year is going along and you feel like you're not where you're at, don't be afraid to ask and reach out in the sisterhood. There is so much power in women. And I know I've discussed some of my rougher experiences, like when we talk about miscarriage, those kind of things. But what you will come to realize, and it doesn't have to be just in that, but we are all human. We are all women. We are all people who are sharing so much more in common than we are different. And what you'll realize is that this person you've been sitting next to for I don't know how long, or the person you see in the comments all the time, they are going through some of the exact same things you are going through. But you can go through it together and learn from one another and feel good about who you are and feel good about where you're at. 30 looks damn good, but you know what? 21 looks good. 50 looks good. And when I say looks good, it's about genuinely what's in here. I know I've said it a million times in some of my videos before, but I say that because genuinely anything can happen. Anything can happen to your physical. So I do think that it's something in how you present. I think it's look good. Do what makes you feel good. But ultimately, it's what's inside, because anything can happen today. I say all that to say, guys, feel good on the inside. Take care of the inside. And the outside will take care of itself, guys. The outside will take care of itself. And any age will feel good. And any age will look good if what's in here is correct. So I cannot wait to talk to you guys real soon, later on this week. You guys have a great day. Stay blessed. Get rest. And I love you guys. Talk to you later.